Wildlife.
The humble pigeon, New York City's most ubiquitous creature, has amassed a reputation as a filthy, troublesome animal. It flies high and low through the bustling streets of Manhattan and the quiet blocks of Staten Island, pestering neighbors and leaving a trail of feces in its path. But the pigeon is in fact a vital part of the city's landscape and ecosystem. A deeply social animal with a long and fascinating backstory. The rock pigeon is thought to have originated in what is now Syria before spreading to Europe in the 1st century AD. In the 1600s, colonists began bringing the birds to the New World as a source of food, where slowly but surely they began escaping their coops and establishing new roosts in the wild. Today, through a combination of inherent characteristics and behaviors gleaned from centuries of cohabitation with humans, the modern pigeon is a bird uniquely adapted to urban life. It prefers to nest on narrow shelves and ledges that are vastly more common in cities than they are in nature. New York City's buildings provide countless perfect spots. But the pigeon's greatest asset for adaptability may be its voracious appetite. Though it prefers seeds, the bird will happily dine on the leftovers of New Yorkers. Pizza crusts, French fries, and old bagels are all building blocks of the pigeon food pyramid. While other birds might scoff at the city's skyscrapers, litter, and oceans of pavement, the pigeon sees paradise. But paradise isn't without its threats. To the city's hawks and peregrine falcons, pigeons make a tasty treat. In fact, they're the two species' primary source of food. And as New York Audubon Society Executive Director Glenn Phillips explains, there's also the threat of pigeon-on-pigeon violence.
People often use pigeons and doves as a symbol of peace. We think of pigeons as being peaceful creatures. The reality is that pigeons actually will attack other pigeons. While they're not particularly aggressive animals, there is certainly a sense of dominance, and there are dominant individuals, particularly when they're courting. Males will chase other males away from their female and chase other birds when they're prime feeding to keep their territory intact. They don't, however, attack each other to the point where they're actually killing each other. The aggression is somewhat ritualized. The birds know when that other bird is maybe a bigger fish in the pond than it is. So.
To better protect themselves from predators, pigeons tend to flock together, keeping a collective eye out for death from above. Moving in a group also allows the birds to more easily locate their own sources of food. It's unclear just how tight the bonds are within a single flock of pigeons, but there is evidence that once two birds pair up, they'll often cohabitate and mate for several seasons in a row. You may wonder why you've never seen a baby pigeon flying around with its elders. It's only because parents do all they can to protect their young. After a mother lays its clutch of 2 or 3 eggs, it keeps the infant birds confined to their nest until they are fully fledged, at which point they are virtually indistinguishable from adults.
Rock pigeons are very opportunistic breeders. Pigeons will keep nesting as long as the food is plentiful and the weather is good enough. It's very advantageous for the pigeons because it means that their populations can build rapidly as food resources become available. So you can go from just a few pigeons to a whole lot of pigeons in a very short amount of time.
So why should we care about our little neighbours in the sky? If nothing else, consider how dependent upon us they are for survival. Without our scraps to eat and our buildings to nest on, the birds might find themselves in a strange and unforgiving landscape.
People often talk about, cockroaches and rats being the only thing that would survive a post-apocalyptic setting. The abundant food resources in cities primarily come from leavings of people, and if there weren't people, there probably wouldn't be very many pigeons either.
Pigeons are perhaps New York City's perfect mascots, pugnacious, resilient, creative, and willing to do whatever it takes to survive. Next time you're frustrated when one of them shits on you as you're walking to work, remember, the two of you probably aren't so different.